Bonjour. Ko nishin kas mang do tem. Ob zang shin ka dia bon jian. Yon dad jian. Walet shin ka te. Mis no mo den ke je digitan ing. Pautigong jin ka te. I know I was given a name when I was born. Lawrence Philip Wanakamik. But when I started my healing journey 31 years ago, I was given the name Owl's Foot in a sweat lodge ceremony. And I'm honored to carry the name Owl's Foot. And today I wanted to talk on residential schools and the impacts. I know I've talked about this subject I guess in the last 20 years, not only in this organization but elsewhere, back home on White Sand. And I'd just like to share, the what happened residential school. I guess my story began, like I said, when I was born in a little place called Willet. I know we talked about, there was discussion this morning on, about traditional parenting and, when I was born, I had community, a woman gave me birth, and I guess there's a ceremony when a woman gives birth. They take the placenta out and we call that the umbilical cord was cut, and I remember I used to carry a little round thing like a medicine pouch, I guess, around my neck and in the cradle. They used to have that all the time, and I was told later on in life that wherever that ceremony took place, or in the area where the placenta was buried, this is where I always go back, and I feel at home when I'm in the bush and in that area where I come from. So I feel very comfortable being there in the bush. I know nowadays that doesn't happen with our young people. I've talked to the elders in Gull Bay about the young people that are in town here, and they are lost. They're looking for, where they're coming from, where what their names are, and I believe it's because they were born in the city, and this is where there's a lot of confusion in their lives, and I'm lucky that I was born in the bush, and Helen talked about language. That is important to me also, and I remember my teacher, if you look at the person on that picture there, he taught me all about culture. And still today, I remember the teachings that he gave me, and I still carry that the teachings that he taught me regarding culture and about myself, because I was the fire keeper for a lot of years for his sweat lodge. I learned a lot in the sweat, on the fire, being a firekeeper and helping out around the sweat lodge. And that, and my story, like I said, began when I was born in the bush. And I remember as a child, my sister's brothers leaving, when the leaves started turning color. I used to wonder where they were going. And as the years went by, we moved from that place to another part of the tracks there where the CN runs. About another 10 miles, I guess. My dad used to work on the for the CNR, and we moved to this place called Wanakamik, and this is where my dad died when I was just 6 years old. So I had memories of going out with my parents, hunting, fishing, being out in the lake, and we lived there for a number of years. I remember as a child and the neighborhood kids that I used to play with, we'd go hunting with our slingshots out in the bush for birds or squirrels. And we'd have fun, go out there and just enjoy ourselves. And we always remember when we were out there. We looked up in the sky, and when it was sunny, we knew when to go back because we looked at the sun and we followed the sun. And we'd go back home and before it got too dark. And and there were also times where I went out there by myself and just being out there, being happy and enjoying myself. And this one year was my turn to go on the train with my brother and sisters. And I was kind of happy to be on the train, to go somewhere. And when I got on the train would be on the train all day. And I used to think that was quite a ways, from home. Start getting lonely. As soon as it got dark, and it was really, I was feeling very lost already, being away from home for that long, the whole day. And I guess going into the school there in the middle of the night and waking up in the morning, one of the kids that I used to play around with, I heard him. Next morning, I heard him. Playing around outside, having a good old time, playing on the swings and the playground stuff, monkey bars and stuff like that. And here I was crying and feeling lonely. I was upstairs, still in bed. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to go anywhere. So it was the start of when I started closing up on everybody. We weren't allowed to see our sisters. So I was getting really lonely because I seen my brother once in a while because we were in a different part of the building. He was downstairs and I was upstairs. I don't know why they put the little ones upstairs. But it was strange for me, having to take a bath and getting my hair cut and getting shaved bald, and it was really strange for me to be in that kind of you know, and following rules. You have to do this. You can't go there, and and I thought, no, it's not really. That's not really what we did back home. Because I remember waking back home, I'd get up, eat, and go out. Whereas here, you know, we stayed in the building after we ate. Went to church. What's church? You know, went to the chapel. And always, and later on in those years when I went back in the fall time, September, you know, every year, never miss a year where somebody would run away, take off, and you know, they'd say, oh, where's so and so? You know, 3 or 4 boys would take off out in the bush or out on the road, and a few days later they would come back, or somebody would find them, bring them back. And this is where I witnessed a lot of the physical abuse of the kids that got brought back. We were all told to stand around the playroom or playroom in the basement, because our playground was in the basement, and we were told to stand around. And the boys that ran away were in the middle. And the keeper would, or one of the nuns would, you know, tell the boys to hold out their hands and get strapped, you know, 10 times, 20 times. And sometimes their hands would be bleeding. And just to hear that, the slapping on the head, you can still hear it today. So it was very hard to see that every year. And some of these boys were just young ones too, you know, my age at the time, 7, 8, 9, and there was the older boys. Those were the ones that were repeaters. They'd run away again next year, and some of them would never come back. Never see them come back. And I used to think, well, maybe they made it home. But most of those boys were from up north, you know, Sandy Lake, Deer Lake. So I don't know how they would have made it home. And I heard stories where they would see the groundskeeper or the keepers, you know, the maintenance people dragging wagons up the hill. There used to be like a barn and maintenance buildings up towards that side of the school. And there was an old church over this way. And some of the people that went there said they've seen this guy dragging a wagon with something inside all wrapped up. And I think they buried some students up there near the grave, near the church. And there was grave site over there, back there. I know there was. But the thing is, I never went to that church to you know, I don't think they ever used it, because they used the one in the building where we slept and ate and So, the first year, like I said, I started closing off myself, protecting myself, and putting a wall so I wouldn't get hurt. Witnessing these strappings, I couldn't really escape that, even today. So it's hard to try to forget those events. And there used to be another building where we went for classes, and my first year, we had nuns as teachers, and they used to have on their desk a big strap up there, about maybe 2 foot long and about 5 inches wide, and pretty thick. And they'd have it up there, and a roller yardstick. And when we were doing our work, the nun would walk around the class. She'd be carrying a yardstick. And I used to daydream. I look out the window, and next thing I don't remember the nun coming around, and I'd get slapped on the hand really hard. It just woke me up and started crying. And I really miss my mom. I miss the community. It was like that every year, missing my mom, missing home. I think the hardest part was, for me, and not knowing the other kids. The priests used to have a retreat on an island on the other side of the tracks, and we were by a lake. There was a lake here, and there was another lake this way, and rapids, water going down the rapids. And this lake here had a little river going to the other side of it. There was another lake past the track, and that's where they had a retreat, a building, their building, I guess, where they went on the weekends. And I remember going on a boat with this other kid. They take us on that island. And we're in the middle of nowhere, no escape, on an island, far from land. And you could hear that the kid that I came with, I heard him screaming, crying. And I know it was my turn. After he stopped crying, and then the priest would come in, take my clothes off, And I think I completely went dead after that. I didn't feel anything. And I try to make the best of it after that, Listen, or you'll burn in hell. Thinking back all those years, and till the time I started my healing journey. I said, and I believe not only me but others that made it through. They didn't kill my spirit. That's what kept me going. Survival. I did well in class, in school. I did well in, we used to play hockey. And I did pretty good. I was a good player. But as we look at a feather, you can see all the bad things are on this side, and all the good are on the wider side of the feather. And my life is up down the middle here. And I always looked at this feather, to teach me that, life goes on. And, residential school, a lot of bad things came out of it, losing everything else but my spirit, and suffering all that abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, psychological abuse, and my spiritual part of me kept me going. And, we talked about language this morning, and my mom used to talk to me in Ojibwe all the time, and that's why I retained the language myself. My brother and sisters all spoke and understand because of my mom. She was pretty strong. And I didn't really know my dad. As like I said, he died when I was 6. And it was at that time also like a child of 5, 6 years old. Alcohol was starting coming in our village. And they'd be drinking, And I believe my dad died from that, from drinking. I know my brothers did. My oldest brother passed out outside, hypothermia, died in the middle of the night. We found him the next day by a river. My next oldest brother died of alcoholism, choked on his own vomit. And my oldest sister also died of alcoholism. You know, the effects of that residential school, lasting effects on everybody, my family, and not only my family, but the community, and I see everywhere else. You know, people will say that there are good things that happened. Well, I think the education part was good. I learned, I learned to be a good hockey player for once. And my mother was in school also, and he went only 2 years though, because she got injured in school working. Because in those days in Macintosh, they used to do hard labor, working out in the fields. And I don't know, I think her foot got run over, and they sent her home. And next year when they came, and the the priest came, and her parents took her out in the bush, and she never went back. But, the intergenerational trauma continued from that period on to my stage of life. I'm lucky that I didn't perpetrate any sexual abuse on the younger ones, because my mother taught me to respect. Even before residential school, I used to think that there was something else in our lives. And I used to hear the elders, and they used to sit around the fire in the evenings and talk. And they talk about the shaking tent, and how everybody was scared to practice any of that. And the ceremonies. Where our reserve is today is near Armstrong. We're neighbors to Armstrong, but where everybody where we started from as a reserve, which was never named as a reserve, but we still call it Old White Sand. And it's top of Lake Nipigon. And that was a meeting place for all our people. In the summers, they get together. Because there used to be two trading posts near that place. Old White Sand is, and on the other side of the bay. And that's where they would meet, every summer. Because, they all went for that $4. And the RCMP and the Indian agent would come around. But, those people are starting to move back there now. There's cabins, there's houses there. And a lot of people go back there today to be near the water, to be in the bush. And just beside that is a mountain, Mount St. John. That's where we do have our ceremonies, vision quests. I went there a couple of times in that mountain. But, once in 1965, Macintosh burned down, and everybody was happy. I was happy. I thought we'd be going home. That was in the springtime. I guess it was my birthday present. I was born March 18th. Next day, or that night, and that's when the fires broke out in the building. And it's a good thing there was another building where they put us. It was still cold and lots of snow. They put us in the next building. We slept and ate there for a couple of days, and I got sent to Fort Francis, and the others, Kenora, and some went up to St. Anne's. If you heard of St. Anne's, one of the notorious residential schools in that time, where they have the electric chair. And some of my friends were sent up there, and I guess I was the lucky one to get sent to Fort Francis. And it wasn't too bad there because we got to go to school in town. But in that 1 year, my sister and her husband came to visit their kids, and I went along with them that weekend, Easter weekend. And my brother-in-law asked me if I wanted to go home. I said, sure, I want to go home. I went home with them. They took me home, and but it was just as bad at home. There was nobody around. Everybody was drinking, and my mom was never home. And that loneliness kept going. But at least I knew I was home and I was near my mother. So that's my first dropout story. I got a lot of dropout stories in my life. I did a lot of dropping out, especially when I was drinking. Drinking started, after that got me home. I stayed out of school for a year. Then there was an opportunity to go back to school. So I went back to school the following year, Thunder Bay. And they sent me to St. Joseph's, Thunder Bay. And the following year after that, Fort Francis again. But it was in Fort Francis that I dropped out, went home, and just stayed home. I didn't go anywhere. I was scared. It was when the 60s scoop was happening. I'd see the CAS worker walking around the community picking up kids. And I stayed hid. I hid all that time for that year. But I got that chance to go back to school in Thunder Bay again. I went there, and to put me at school, I don't know if anybody remembers Brown Morgan. It was a school for stupid people, I guess, or it was kind of a occupational school, high school. I went there for a year. Did pretty well, and it was also. I always tried to get away from stuff like that, but nobody would listen. When I was in Fort Francis, I remember writing a letter to superintendent of education here in Thunder Bay, asking them, I want to go to Thunder Bay, I want to be with my brother and sisters. And I never got no answer. There's a lot of letdown. And same thing happened when I was at Morgan. I wanted to transfer to Hammersholt. But I got a chance to go to Hammersholt the following year. But that's when my drinking started picking up. Because I met guys Hammersholt there who would skip out and go to the bars. And I was just only 16, 17 years old. And age of majority was 21 at the time. I don't know how we got in. We're just kids. They just let us drink and get drunk, I guess. And so at Christmas time, my drinking was so bad that drinking every day. Came home, never went back. I guess by this time my alcoholism was full blown. Got a job in Armstrong with some make work project for the mates skittle trail from one place to the other. Worked there for a couple of months. But dropping out of high school was my second dropout story. And in those years, I started using drugs. I smoked up a lot and didn't do no hard drugs, but a lot of marijuana. And that continued on till in the 70s. Decided to go back to school again. Went to up on before that in the early 70s. I got so drunk there one night. I remember walking out on the road there, going towards my sister's house, middle of nowhere. Like they lived about a half mile out of town on the road. I remember going walking there. Next morning I woke up. My brother-in-law said, geez, he said, you almost froze, he said. I picked you up on the trail here, coming near the house, about 10 feet from the house. I must have just dropped there and almost froze. Froze my hands, my toes. Got cut off. Stayed in the hospital for about 4 months. But I didn't learn, After I got out, started drinking again. Never learned. And I remember he used to tell me, "Skjut tigan, we have hard heads. We don't listen." And like I said, he used to teach me quite a bit about myself. And he used to say, "I'll make you cry." And I did, Today he's making me cry. Still makes me cry. And he's been gone about 20 years now. And I was telling the guys that hung around with when he was around, he used to call his disciples, and we all hang out at his house, play cards, get ready for the sweat lodge. We have a sweat lodge every night. But he means a lot to me. To this day, I use his teachings, his guidance, and he gave me this feather my first year of Sweat Lodge. He says, well, you've earned this feather, he says, take it and use it. And I've been using it, teach. Yeah. So like in the 70s, after my accident, or I don't know if it was suicide or attempted suicide, or it just happened because of my addiction. But I went back to school, went to college. Went up grading first in college, and got accepted into the business program, 2 years. So I made it through the first year, and he was starting to work on organizing the First Nation, because we didn't have no band council, no administration. So he was doing that while I was in. He was talking to, Pick River chief at the time, and Lake Helen, and even Pace Platte. He got lots of help from them, and so I completed my first year, and my drinking was still, still happening. Second year, I went back to school in September, and about this time, November, he asked me if I wanted to work for the band. So I said, sure, I'll work for the band. So I dropped out. Dropped out of college. My third dropout story. And I worked for the band for about 16 years as a band manager, other positions, like economic development, and I even did 1 or 2 stints band council in those years. But it was in the early 80s again. I decided to go back to school, went to university. Because I thought I needed, to up my education. And I got accepted and went there, and the parties kept rolling from there, every weekend. Started missing classes. By Christmas time, I dropped out again. My fourth dropout story. Dropping out of life. And it's all because of the, not because of the drinking, but, the residential school. Sometimes it would creep up in the back of my mind what happened. But I always wanted to forget. I wanted to forget that period in my life, a dark stage in my life. Couldn't forget. And it was like he was already gone for treatment when he started the organizing the First Nation, and he used to try to get us to go for treatment too. I remember during the summertime we'd be out in the bush, a bunch of us sitting around beer case, or a couple of beer cases. And someone would say, hey, he's coming, come on, take off. Somebody would grab the beer and take off out in the bush. That's funny. And sometimes he'd catch somebody. He caught me a few times. And he'd take out his big book and he'd read it. And I guess it was at that time that seeds were planted in my brain anyway, to go for treatment. And it wasn't until 1989 where, my life had gone haywire. My life was at a low point, where I was thinking suicide, and all this stuff that was happening was because of the being wanted, being loved, because I missed that in my life from going to residential school. I didn't get that while I was there, and all those times that I was having a hard time with love, being wanted, was in relationships. I was in this relationship where it would end, and said she doesn't love me, she doesn't want me. So that's really really wanted to kill myself because of that. So that happened, 89, actually it was that summer, and I was still working for the band, actually off and on again that time, and I asked him, he was the chief at the time, and I asked him, I need some help, and he has this smirk in his face and smiles. He says, I know you'll be coming. I was expecting you, he said. And then I started crying and crying and crying my head off for about a half hour, maybe longer. And then after, when I was done crying, he says, go see the NADAP worker. He'll set you up. And that was the start of my my healing journey, where my life started turning around. Just admitting that I had a problem, admitting that I needed someone. Because all this time, I even before, let's say about a year, maybe 2 years, I tried on my own to quit. I'd quit maybe 2 weeks, a couple months. And the longest was 6 months. And that didn't work, so I went for treatment. And my other nephew, gave me advice to, when you go there, he says, so share whatever you need to share and all you can share, he says. Try not to hold anything back. And that's what I did, I started sharing. I know it's hard at first, sitting in a AA meeting and I'll just say, my name's Larry and I'm an alcoholic, and it would pass. And that happened for a while, Then I started getting braver, I guess, or wanted to share more. And the things that, it wasn't things that happened in residential school that I shared at that time. It was just, my feelings, of needing love, needing, being wanted. Those kind of things that I talked about in those times, and my mom had died already the year before that, and I was kind of sorry that she didn't see me start to turn my life around. And but I'm glad I did that, and things started getting better and better over the years. I was a die-hard AA person for about 4 years. I mean, I was already going to soil lodges and ceremonies about a year after that. but those two helped me connect with myself, connect with life, connect with the community. I remember I used to tell him when I came back from treatment, oh, these people here, they're different, he says, And then he says, well, they're not different. They're the same old people. You're the one who's changed, he says. And I knew that, there was some changes in my life. And when I started working not working for somebody, but, trying to help others go for treatment. And I used to tell him, I just can't seem to get this guy to start changing, he says, He says, how do you know? You don't know what's happening in his inside of him. Maybe he's thinking of going for treatment. Maybe he's trying to change his ways. Well, I didn't know that, but I guess that's what's happening for some of the people that I talked to. And I knew at the time that I wanted to get in this field, try to help the people, change their lives around. After back in when was that? 97, I guess. Went back to school again. And that's where the success story is, no dropouts. I completed the Aboriginal Mental Health and Addictions program on college, and I was pretty proud of myself. I had a dean's list for 4 semesters. Yeah, that was a good part of my education, getting my paper. And I remember the years before, there was this lawyer from Six Nations, he was our lawyer for treaty rights. And I was the band manager, and I told him, I've worked for Wet Sands for a number of years now, and I like to apply for work at Thunder Bay, maybe, I told him. And I did put some applications in. I never got no responses because, my resume didn't show that. I didn't put dropout here and there, but I showed my education as being residential school, and but that's pretty well it. No record of educational success there in my resume. But he says, and there was some mention of that today. We don't need this paper because we learn around us in our environment. We learn culture, we learn land-based stuff. And you have that, he says, this lawyer. I don't see why nobody should hire you. I mean, you have all the skills, you have all the abilities to be a good worker. I said, yeah, I know, but I guess that got me to thinking, well, maybe I should try to go back to school again. And that's what I did after I, was on my healing journey. And it took a while for it to go back to school again. Almost 20 years, I would say, and completing that. But that didn't get no work after. Well, actually, I worked for the band and the education department as a counselor. But I worked there for only about a year. Met this woman, she's Saint Marie. And that's why I'm living in Sault Marie now. And I remember he used to tell me there's down the west, he says, down east. If you look on the skyline, there's 2 women up there. And I used to go look up there and didn't see nothing. And I used to go to the lake there near Armstrong there, and I used to put tobacco in the water and um, prayed for a partner. And that's what he told me, go to the lake, pray. There's spirits in the lake that will help you. And that's what I did, and he said you have to be patient. They're not going to just land on your lap, he says. So I met this woman in the Powell Trail, and actually it was up here that I met her. And about a year after, we got married. Nobody knows actually back home right now that I got married, that I'm a married man or was a married man. But that didn't last, And it was still that feeling of being wanted, that kind of started thinking about suicide again. And I had tried it, I had this pickup truck, and I'd be out in the bush there somewhere near Nestor Falls, Saviskong, because that's where when I remember Kelvin talking about Louise, I stayed with her for a couple of months, and I went back and forth from there to Fort France or Big Grassy. That's where she was working, my ex-wife, and she threw me out pretty well, you might as well say, because of my. I thought I was being honest and truthful, and because she had asked me questions, about the other woman, and she didn't like that, and I felt bad because I was telling the truth, what she wanted to know. So that broke us up, and another round of suicidal thoughts came around. And like I said, I was near that reserve there in the bush somewhere. And there was an old road there. I parked my truck in and got some hose, put in the back of the tailgate and tailpipe, put inside the window. And I sat there, it's dark, the truck was running. I could smell the fumes. And I looked in the rear view, I seen something there. Then a couple of minutes later, I looked up ahead, and I thought I seen some movement up there. And I guess that's what got me out of the truck and stopped the vehicle, stopped the truck and went up there to check it out. There was nothing there. And she says, well, I guess this is not working. The truck was running for about half hour and nothing was happening. And today I know, I guess, the spirits were helping me get past that. But it wasn't over, and the suicidal thoughts were still, about a week after I went back to that reserve. And I tried praying. I went to their lake there and prayed. And it didn't seem to be helping. As there's a big long road straight to the main road. I says I better end this thing here. I can't take it anymore. So I just floored the truck. I went about 80 miles an hour down a short road there. By the time I got to the end, something stopped me and put my brakes on. Just, I said, "To hell with this.
and I wanna and I want to do this anymore. I said, I'm gonna try to get some help again. Because I mean, I was already sober and on my healing journey, and these things were happening. But I, at that point, I went to see a counselor in Fort Francis, and seen her for a couple of weeks. I decided to come back to this part of the country. He was living in Thunder Bay already. So I went seeing him and stayed with him for a couple of months. Applied for work here and there, and got a job in Manitoulin Island. Worked there for 4 months. Was a family sport worker. Well, that's the place where my ex-wife was from. So I guess maybe she knew I was working there, and she put some word out that I shouldn't be working there as a family sport worker. So I got fired. Came back to Thunder Bay, and you know the toll that has taken on me, not only me, but like I said, this other kid that I was with, he lives in Armstrong or in White Sand, and I see him today. He's about the same age as me. He looks really old. He's crippled. He uses a cane to walk around, and I often wonder what's happening. You know, maybe he hasn't gone past the stage where he needs to share that stuff, that what happened. And not only him, but there's like the younger ones. You know, like intergenerational, and that's what I tell the kids at school. You know, about that stuff. You know, talk to your parents about what happened in residential school. You know, talk to your grandparents, what they went through, and you know, and it's like what that one kid said. You know, did you speak English before you went to residential school? I said, no, I just knew Ojibwe. It kind of surprised me when I was just a kid in grade 3, I think. Grade 1, I think. Yeah, grade 1 and 2. And but I hope they learn something from the residential school story that I'm sharing, and not only them, but other people, mainstream society. Hopefully, you know, I had mentioned about all the bad things that had happened. There were some good things like on the feather, you know, more good than bad. But that's the balance. We talked about the balance on the drum, you know, the balance on the medicine wheel. And I teach that to the people about the balance that we have. You know, if I drink too much, you know, everything else will go lopsided. So we need to balance that part of our lives. And that's what I try to do every day in my own life. You know, I mean, I get angry, I get sad, all these things. You know, all the negative things that happens in my life. But I try to, you know, I know what to do. You know, try to make that balance in my life. You know, I pray. I talk to the elders. You know, get some help. You know, talk to my best friend up here, and works actually in Delico. So, you know, he was my also my drinking buddy back in the day, and we share a lot of things. You know, So that helps me get my life back on track again. And this circle here helps me also. Coworkers, back home, although they're not they're not in the same program, but they listen. They talk. That part of being wanted and being loved is there now. I can feel it around the circle. I'm back home with my partner, my children. I have two of my own children. My son died, say about 6-7 years ago, and nobody never told me about it. And I was mad about it. Why didn't anybody? Why didn't the mother say that my son had died? She kind of disowned me as a father. Same with my daughter. I just remember her saying that, that's not mine. But I know it was mine, my daughter, and she always denied that. And today, I'm not sure. I never knew my kids. My own kids. I never knew them. I never knew my daughter. I never knew, well, my son a little bit, but because he was near. But my daughter was always living with her mother somewhere else. But I don't know them. But the two kids that they're not mine. They're stepdaughter or stepson with my partner now. I call them my kids, my children. They're grown up, but they're not really kids. So I still call them mine. And I know there's, I at the start there was, they wanted to push me away from the family, from their mother. But everything seems to be okay now. We go visit them. Well, the daughter lives out west, but the son lives in Sault Ste. Marie. And I see him all the time, when I go there. But, that's, the good part of my life. And there's love, there's being wanted there. And I guess that's what I wanted all my life. And that's, when I go blank like that, I remember when I was working in the city here for 11 years, we used to have these seasonal feasts, spring, summer, fall, and winter feast. And they always asked me to open the feast and say prayers and provide some teachings. And I'd be talking and rambling. That's what some of my coworkers used to say. And it's Larry again. He's going to be rambling on. We want to be able to have our lunch, and the feast will be cold. And better not let him open the feast anymore. He said. She said. They would have fun with me anyway, like they do here, like this guy here about casino and all that. But this is good. This, I like to be put in that position where they're having fun. I'm having fun, so that's good. Nobody's getting hurt, and I'm happy with that. I'm good with that, and. But a lot of good things are happening today, and even the pictures here. I like to share, like I said. I like to share. I guess that's one of the things I want to do. Continue doing is continue sharing residential school. culture, teachings, drums, pipe, ceremonies. When I take my bag at the school, I remember the first year I went seeing the JK and SK, I'd take out my feather and to me I was sitting all around, really bright-eyed and looking around and wanting to know what that is. I said, that's an eagle feather. Or I take out my medicines, tobacco and cedar, sage, and sweetgrass. Oh, they'd be all interested. And today I see those kids in higher, upper grades, I guess. I said, I remember you. When they were in kindergarten. Yeah, that was me, I tell them, I'll be around some more if you want to listen to me. And this one little girl that we did the turtle rattle workshop a couple of weeks ago, and she did one turtle rattle, and it's telling her about, she was telling the story about the turtle shell, the 13 moons and the 28 days, and I told her about those things, That's how our lives are, where we live on that turtle, the days and the months and the years. So they start counting on their own shell, about the 13 moons and 28 days and stuff like that, and so it was interesting to, do that kind of stuff with the kids. I like doing that. But I also, I know years before I got into treatment, he would tell me, I used to wear a hat, this black and yellow hat. I think it was the Pittsburgh Pirates hat. He says, you look good in that. It's nice colors, he says. And you know what that means, he says. I said, no. I said, the Pittsburgh Pirates, I said. No. He says, the yellow represents the children, and black represents the elders. And he says, you're going to be working with them later on in life. And I never really give any thought to that. And that's what I try to do, work with the kids and work with the elders. So those colors were given to me even before I started my healing journey, and those kind of things happened, not for a purpose, even before healing journey starts. A lot of lessons in that that has happened to me, and a lot of stuff that's in my bag was given to me. Never really asked for this, the turtle rattle, the pipe. As Kelvin said, we earn those things. Somebody sees you, whether it's the Creator or your teachers. I know my teacher told me that I earned this feather because I was helping out in the sweat lodge, firekeeper, and being involved in culture has brought me all this stuff here. There was hardly anything when I started. There's stones in there. There's all kinds of goodies that I use for teaching, and that's pretty well my story. And I'd like to thank you all for listening. Miigwech, Dikitwe, Mishomis, Nokumis, Atsukanak, Iginagi ba ya ekmo, Ibabzindamek, Miigwech ma Kagijagak, Miigwechwe Kingegun Nagi Mijang, where Mijim, where Nibi, where Nijiog Nanak, where Mr. Nanak. nincs kiemelni magibe, szerintem volt ki, még öcs. Yep. Was any questions? I guess I can. Okay. Thanks for being here.